On today's episode of the podcast, we have a special guest, and we are chatting all about a topic that is sometimes a little difficult for parents to approach with their kids. Yep, today we're talking about money. Hi, I'm Pam Barnhill, and I have helped thousands of homeschoolers create doable systems, beat burnout, and bring more joy to their homeschool days. Welcome to this episode of the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast. This one is packed full of information, so we're going to jump right in with our special guest, Matt Matheson. Matt Matheson is a husband to an awesome wife and father to 3 little munchkins. He's a principal by day and the founder of Family Money School by night. This is a site that's all about helping kids and the parents who love them become money rock stars. And so we are going to have Matt talk to us all about talking about money with your kids today. Matt, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing very good, Pam. Very good. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am so glad you're here, and we only have 10 minutes, so let's jump right into this. Why do you feel like it's important for parents to teach their kids about money?
Great question. So, I would say, like, if the last year and a bit has taught us anything, is that life is crazy unpredictable. Everything going on with COVID and the economy, like it's been a year like none of us have probably ever seen. But like for our kids and their financial future, it doesn't have to be uncertain. And, as parents, I really feel like it's our responsibility to provide our kids with everything that they need in order to become those independent, successful adults. We all spend hours, working with them on their homework, enrolling them in summer camps, different sporting activities, piano lessons. But when it comes to money, which is something that touches literally every part of our lives, we oftentimes don't spend as much time, or we're not intentional about spending time with our kids about that. So for me, it's a passion of mine to ensure that families have tools that they need in order to raise these money savvy kids who can experience a financial peace. And I think for me too, one of my passions is money is important, but it's not the be all and end all. And when I look at a lot of financial education out there, in some ways, I almost feel like it overemphasizes the importance of money and underemphasizes some of the other elements of money, things like, generosity, which really is the key to, experiencing financial peace.
And you mentioned that it was important to teach our kids about these things. So which principles exactly should parents be teaching their kids about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because really, there are literally thousands of things you could teach your kids about money. You can read books on literally everything from A to Z. But really, so I've done a ton of reading, a ton of research on, financial principles and stuff like that. And everything basically boils down to 5 big ideas. And the big ideas are kids need to first learn where money comes from. So they need to learn, and essentially for kids, Pam, we were chatting a little bit before the podcast started, just about working and how that's super important. And so kids need to learn that. They need to make that connection between working and earning money. That is something that they are going to be faced with for their entire lives. So that's the first thing, work. Second one is how to spend. With credit cards, debit cards, you've got massive amounts of people struggling with debt. There is really, people have a spending problem, not so much an earning problem. I saw a recent stat that said, I think it was 40% of people making over $100,000 a year were living paycheck to paycheck. That's not an income problem. That's a spending problem, right? So that's number 2, spending. Third is how to save. And that's something you can start teaching, when kids are really little, delaying gratification. That touches things like investing, whether we're talking about 401ks, Roths, stocks, bonds, all those types of things. You can get into that as kids get older. And then the one that I alluded to earlier is that generosity piece. That is really something that I feel like is missing. And a lot of parents do try to emphasize this subtly, but I really think kids need to have that modeled and focused on a lot more. And I think personal finance people would do well to emphasize that, because that really is the key to experiencing financial peace, is actually being able to give your money away. Once you can do that, you've arrived at that financial peace point. And then the last one is that money isn't everything. I know for myself, being a personal finance writer and course creator, my tendency can be to like only be thinking about money. And that's not healthy, because money is not the be all and end all. Like, it's important, no doubt about it, but it really needs to be put in the proper pecking order of life. And so for myself, that's after my faith, after my family, after my physical fitness, and then come my finances, and then last comes fun and all those sorts of things. And so for me, making sure that money is in the correct place in my life is really, really important, and that's something I want to pass on to my kids. So those would be the top 5: how to work, how to spend, how to save, how to give, and that money isn't everything.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So I'm just going to, you're a parent, you know this, I'm going to let you in on, it's not a secret. We're just going to talk about it right here, right now. As a parent, we have so many different things that we need to do with our kids every day. And so, but the thought of adding on one more thing to have to teach my kids when I have to like get them to brush their teeth and pick up their room and feed the dog
100%.
and get their homework done. Can we really teach them what they need to know in just a few minutes a day or a few minutes a week?
Absolutely, you can. So like when you think about teaching your kids about money, it's really not about like how much time you take to teach them. It's really about being intentional and taking the time to teach them. So like, I'm a teacher, I have a master's degree. I've studied in depth the best ways to teach kids. I've been teaching for 15 years. I'm a principal right now. So I've seen every different type of teaching style under the sun. And what I've learned is that kids learn best when the learning is authentic and when it's meaningful. So, that means taking advantage of the many teachable moments that happen every day. Like, as a parent, I know, between swimming lessons, you mentioned like brushing kids' teeth, getting their jammies on, like doing all these things. I barely feel like I have time to breathe sometimes, let alone, start teaching them about these concepts. I empathize. But really, when it comes to teaching your kids about money, it actually has nothing to do with adding more time onto your day. It's just about being more efficient in how we use our time. And it's basically about changing our mindset. It's less about thinking that we need to teach kids about money by sitting them down and always doing a formal lesson. And it's more about taking advantage of those teachable moments. So, it's things like, when you're grocery shopping, taking the time to, I'm the same way. I've got my lists and I'm ripping through and I want to just get it done as quick as possible. But it's taking that minute to talk about, the difference between needs and wants. So, we're going and we're getting fruits and vegetables. Well, is that a need or a want? Well, it kind of depends, right? And it's not always black and white, but having these conversations with kids are really important to helping them understand the difference between needs and wants, because as they get older, they're going to run into things and they're going to say, I need a new pair of jeans or I need new shoes. Well, do you really need those things? It's not bad to want those things, but just our language is so important. And so taking advantage of a teachable moment like that. Even something as simple as when you're paying for something, you're paying for something, maybe you're using like your credit card to pay for it. Taking 30 seconds to explain to your kids, and my kids are young. I've got an 8-year-old and I've got a 5-year-old, and then I've got a really little guy, he's 18 months. But taking the time to talk with them and say, like, here's how a credit card actually works. Like, this is not magic. This is, we swipe this card, and then there's a company that keeps track of all the things that we spend. And then at the end of the month, when the mail comes, we get a bill. And then taking the time when you get the bill to show them the bill and see, hey, do you remember when we stopped and when we bought ice cream? Here it is. And see how I have to pay for that. It's not like I got that ice cream for free. So like just little things like that. And what I've found is, as for myself, is when I've changed my mindset on how to teach my kids about money, I start to see these teachable moments all over the place. And it really actually, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it actually becomes very simple because you see these teachable moments all over the place. And it's just a matter of taking a little bit of time, being a bit more intentional, and teaching them about it.
I love it. I love it. And this is something that homeschoolers can really get on board with, is that, we're not necessarily going to sit down for a formal lesson, but we are just going to teach these things throughout the day as we go about our lives and we're living life together. And I think that makes me breathe a deep sigh of relief because it's not one more thing that I've got to do or make time for. It's something that I'm able to do with my kids. Okay. Having said that, you do have some resources for parents. So tell me quickly about the couple of resources that you have and how you can help parents and also dive into some of these deeper subjects. I think one of the things my family is going through one of your courses this year. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to with it is I think I'm going to learn some things that I don't really know a whole lot about, or I kind of know enough about them, but I could know a lot more. So tell me about your courses.
Yeah. Okay. So I have two courses. The first one is called Young Money Adventures. So that's for kids that are 12 and under. And this is a course that really equips parents to help their kids to become money wise by giving them sort of the tools that they need in order to experience that financial peace. So now the course for kids under 12 is parent directed. So there's tons of hands-on activities to use with your kids. A lot of it is training parents and teaching them how to take advantage of these teachable moments that we were just kind of chatting about. I've got a ton of printables and resources in there and it's all video based. So you watch a short video. The videos are super short. I kept them very short because I know parents are like crazy busy. And honestly, kind of my thinking was, you can watch this while you are, in the line at the grocery store. You can watch like 5 minutes of it while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. And the hope was that, these little tiny short lessons would equip parents and give them a hands-on activity to go and then try with their kiddos. So that's the first course. The second one is called Money Genius Academy, and this one is for teens, so for 13 to 18-year-olds. And I'm really pumped about this one because it has so much awesome content. And Pam, you were mentioning like it's something that like you're hoping that you'll be able to learn some stuff. I learned a ton of stuff when I was going through and doing the course. They say that the best way to learn something is to actually teach it, and it's totally true. So this one has 50 video-based lessons. We talk about everything from savings, automating your savings, investing. We talk about banking, debt. We talk about working. We talk about giving and gratitude and how to develop those character traits. And that course is fantastic. So the first course for kids is typically $67, but I am going to give a coupon code to all of Pam's listeners to get it for $47. And then the Money Genius Academy course typically goes for $137, but I'm discounting that one as well to $107. And then, because I know that lots of families have kids in different age categories, I've done a bundle where I put everything together. So you get both courses, Young Money Adventures and Money Genius Academy. In the bundle is called the Ultimate Family Money School. And I've discounted that for all you guys for $127.
Okay, so just use that coupon code PAM, and the expiration date on that is October 31st. And you can find that at familymoneyschool.com. And yeah, I love the idea of equipping parents to teach kids in those teachable moments. So Matt, thank you so very much for coming on and sharing with us about teaching our kids about money. I really appreciate it. And there you have it. Now, if you would like links to Family Money School and any of the things that Matt and I chatted about on today's episode of the podcast, you can find them on the show notes for this episode. So please visit pambarnhill.com/TMBH07. Now, I will be back again next week, and we're going to be chatting about homeschooling in the upper elementary years. You're not going to want to miss that episode of the podcast. And so until then, keep on homeschooling.